Hello everyone, I am Sathwika studying 9th grade in ZPHS Jangapally of Kannadwaram Mandal. Today I am going to talk about why reading is an adventure. Have you ever been on an adventure? Not the kind where you pack your bags and go on a trip, but the kind where you travel without moving an inch. Let me take you back to my childhood. I was a little girl sitting cross-legged beside my grandmother and listening to her stories, her voice like a magic. And suddenly, I wasn't in my small village anymore. I was inside the story. One moment, I was a warrior riding the horse into the battle. Next, I was a clever fox tricking the lion. And sometimes, I was a little girl like myself solving mysteries and making new friends. That was my first adventure. Not on a plane or a train, but in my imagination. Her stories made me imagine, made me curious. But as much as I loved listening to them, there were moments when I wanted more and more stories, more adventures, more worlds to explore. And that's when I found the books. Books became my way of continuing the magic. They were like my grandmother's stories. But now I could step into them anytime I wanted. I didn't have to wait for my bedtime. I could pick up Chandamama, Panchatantra, or Grandma's bag of stories from my school library. And suddenly, I was off a new adventure, just like before. Listening to my grandmother's stories opened the doors for my imagination. Reading books? That's what happened me to walk through it. Books are not just words on the paper, they are the doors for different worlds. When I read about Chandamama, I travel through the ancient Indian kingdoms. When I read about Grandma's Bag of Stories by Sudhamurthy, I felt warmth of home. And Panchatantra, it turned talking animals into my best friends, teaching me lessons I could never forget. Every book I read gave me a new life to live, a new adventure to experience. Some books made me laugh, some made me cry, and some made me think, wow, I never knew this. The book shows the power of kindness, courage, and creativity. Reading makes us dream bigger than the world we live in. When I read about warriors and kings, I felt brave. When I read about old wise men and clever kids, I felt smart. And talking animals, I felt okay, maybe a little crazy, but in a fun way. Reading makes us dream bigger than the world we live in. It helps us to see beyond what's right in front of us. It makes us to believe we are capable of more and more knowledge, more kindness, and more adventures. For example, when I was in 6th standard, I went to my grandma's home. One day, my uncle was watching Harry Potter movie. I too watched the movie. I enjoyed the movie, but I wanted to experience more and more adventures of Harry Potter movie. Knowing about my interest, my uncle brought me a Harry Potter series book. When I started reading, I felt as if went into his world. When he was fighting, I felt as if I am fighting. That was a lovely experience I had. Once, my teacher gifted me a great book, Grandma's Bag of Stories, when I got the first prize in elocution competition. That book was wonderful and changed me a lot, especially 5 spoons of salt. When I started reading, I felt as if I am Geeta. My family is trying to help me as Geeta's family into the story. We can learn the togetherness of family in the story. Of course, being a reader is not easy. Have you ever been so lost to forget to eat a book? Or tried to read under a blanket with a torch? Or cried over a book your parents thought something terrible happened? Trust me, I've been through it all, but I regret nothing because every book I read me a better version of myself. So, my dear friends, if you want to travel far off the lands, meet amazing people, live different lives, read, pick up a book, any book, let it take you to the different places you have never been before. You don't need money, you don't need ticket, you don't need even to leave your home. You just need the curiosity to explore. Reading is not just about the stories, it's about exploring yourself. So I ask you, are you ready for your next adventure? Read, pick up a book, any book, let the journey begin. Thank you.